Hey guys, yes, I cut my hair 10 inches before anyone gives any sexist comments about how I should keep my hair long. I'm not bragging, I'm advertising when I say I donated it to Locks of Love. It's an organization that creates wigs for children who have cancer. So if you have really long hair, maybe you can consider it. And if you miss my long hair, I don't want to hear about it. So you just got bit by the motorcycle bug. Maybe you took the MSF course, you rode on the back, or you rode a friend's bike and you fell in love. And now you're trying to decide on what is your first bike gonna be. Welcome to the hardest decision I ever made in my life. Cruisers or sport bikes? What beginner bike is best? I don't have an answer for you with that, but I have a way to help you decide what you think is best. So when I first started riding, I took the MSF course on a whim as one fun weekend, got hooked, had never been involved in the world of bikes before, but now suddenly I was obsessed. So I had to learn as much as possible. My MSF instructor suggested just going to the dealership and trying on, well, sitting on bikes. So for over a month, I did a lot of online research, just looking at beginner bikes, looking at reviews of beginner bikes, seeing what other people were saying about bikes that were considered beginners. I looked at everything there. So I looked at Honda Grom review by ChaseonTwoWheels. I looked at reviews on Suzuki S40 Boulevard, 650, Honda Rebel 500, Yamaha R3, Honda CB 500, just anything. If you're looking at beginner sport bikes, anything within the 250 to 500 cc level range. If looking at cruisers, I started off looking around 250 cc to 600 cc, but found that their 0 to 60 time was so slow at 250 cc that I was really worried how it was gonna do on the highway if trying to zip around other cars. So I tried to stick with 500, 600 cc cruisers as beginners that I was looking at. Didn't really narrow down my decisions online, just had a little more information in my head. And going to dealerships, just purely sitting on bikes, I found that I loved cruisers. Loved the way they felt, and I loved the vintage look that they had. I considered really some older cafe racers, but I knew nothing about bikes, so I didn't want to start on anything that needed a lot of work. I wanted to start on something that I could ride today, but in the parking lots because I didn't know what I was doing. For about a month, I went to a dealership every weekend and during the week if I could. Finally narrowed down, okay, cruisers. I know I like cruisers now. I found that I thought very highly of the Suzuki S40 Boulevard 650cc. That's what I ended up going with. And the Honda Rebel 500. Both very reliable bikes. Some of the most, Yamaha and Suzuki are, I think, the top two brands that are for reliability. And I ended up going with Suzuki S40 because with a cruiser and a one-cylinder, I wanted a little more CC just so that I could have that extra safety on the highway. I know people who have done a long highway ride on a 250 and a 500 and they've been fine. But what I noticed, at least on my S40, was after a long highway ride, it was so not smooth that my hands felt numb from all the vibrating. And it actually tore off my license plate very slowly over time, just created cracks because it vibrated so much on long highway rides. So if you're looking at beginner cruisers, I highly recommend the Suzuki S40 Boulevard. That was my first bike. You'd also probably be very happy with the Honda Rebel 500, especially if you don't feel the need to go over 70 miles per hour. And if you're not in America, and if you're in a town that like in Europe or Asia where the roads are a lot more packed with people, you'll probably be very satisfied with a 250cc bike as well. Now, if you decide to go with the more sport bike look, great beginner bikes for that. I've test ridden the Honda 500 and really liked that. And I like that it wasn't very aggressive seating position. I think if I remember correctly, my wrists were kind of uncomfortable. So you do need to like push your thighs and hold on with that. And if you're a new rider, that might not be very comfortable or something you think about often. But if you do your research, you're probably gonna find that the Yamaha R3 is, I mean, I've ridden that and on the highway, that was my boyfriend's bike, and I love that bike. It was really, really comfortable, really easy to ride, and really, really light, which is great if you ever have any little mistakes, like maybe you accidentally hit the front brakes in a turn. Don't do that, you're gonna go down. Or if you hit oil on the road and you wobble, if anything goes wrong and your bike starts to fall, it's going to be really easy to upright and keep it from dropping, which is always nice. So if you're going for a beginner sport bike, I would highly recommend the Yamaha R3. But you'll probably be very satisfied with the Suzuki equivalent or a Honda as well, which are very reliable as well. So anyways, I hope that helps. If you're looking for your next bike, how to decide which way you want to go, cruiser or sport bike. And if you did decide on one of those, I hope I was able to help you pick one or the other. Ride safe. Bye.
What are you doing? Why are you hanging out here by yourself? You don't like it when I make videos? Is it too loud? Little introvert?